Welcome back to Star Hush, where glitz, drama, and downfalls collide in the wildest ways. Today, we are talking about one of the biggest plot twists in rap right now, Lil Durk's fall from rap royalty to a cold jail cell. It is crazy to think about, right? One moment, he was at the top, dropping hits, making millions, and living the dream. The next moment, he is behind bars. It makes you wonder, who are fans going to look up to now? Who is going to carry the torch? Let's break it all down, from the rise, the fame, and the success, to the mistakes that led him here. Stay tuned, because this story is full of shocking details. The streets are whispering, but the indictment is loud. They are saying Lil Durk put money on someone's head. And if the government proves it, this is not just about doing time. This is about life in prison. No deals, no mercy, no way out. This is not just another rap beef or a small case. This is serious. The feds do not play, and once they have their target, they do not stop. So, how did it all go so wrong? Let's break it down. So, what is life like for Lil Durk behind bars? The OTF frontman, born Durk Derek Banks, had been riding the wave of success for years. He turned pain into platinum and loss into legacy. But in late October, everything changed. The feds came. For him, on October 24th. First, they held him at a federal facility in Miami. Then, they moved him to the high-security Metropolitan Detention Center in Los Angeles. And this is not some small case. This is not about a traffic charge or a minor run-in with the law. This case has serious weight. The feds say this is not just street beef. They are treating it as a full-blown hit job. The case ties Durk to the 2022 murder of Lou Pop, who was Quando Rondo's cousin. Prosecutors claim it was a planned, paid-for setup that ended in blood. They are calling it murder for hire, backed up by gun charges and conspiracy. And that is not just talk. That is legal fire, and here is where it gets even colder. Durk's team fought hard to get him out. They put up a $3 million bond offer, hoping money would talk. But the judge was not hearing any of it. No matter how much cash was on the table, the court made one thing clear. He is staying locked up until trial. Now, Durk is stuck behind bars and barbed wire, waiting for a verdict that could change his life forever. From being the voice of the trenches to possibly never seeing the free world again. This fall is hitting different, and when his bond was denied, that is when reality hit the hardest. The court made it crystal clear. They see Lil Durk as both, a flight risk and a danger. That ruling crushed any shot at temporary freedom, locking him in with no way out until trial. Then, on November 13th, Durk was quietly moved to MDC Los Angeles. It is a cold, crowded facility, nothing like the life he was used to, and he is not alone. Some of his closest OTF affiliates are locked up right beside him: Kayvon Cuss, Grant DeAndre, Didi, Wilson Keith, Flocka, Jones Asa, Boogie, Houston. These were the guys he once ran the streets with. Now they are all facing the same reality. These were the same guys he built loyalty with, stacked money with, and ran the streets with. But now, they are all facing the same heavy charges, trapped in a concrete cage, waiting to see what their futures will look like. If Durk thought MDC Los Angeles would be easier than the Miami facility, he was dead wrong. At first glance, MDC may look modern, no spooky iron bars, no dark dungeon vibes, but do not get it twisted. This place is ruthless. Built back in 1988, MDC was meant to hold pre-trial detainees, people still waiting on a court date, not serving sentences. But now, overcrowding, short staff, and non-stop tension have turned it into a powder keg ready to explode. Unlike state prisons where inmates are split by security levels, MDC is a mixed jungle. Drug lords, gang bosses, violent hitters, even white-collar criminals, all thrown under one roof. No buffer, no separation, and that setup? It is dangerous. Too many egos, too much street reputation, not enough space. Violence? It is daily business in there. A look, a word, even the wrong tone can spark something explosive. And when it does, it is every man for himself. Fame means nothing behind those walls. Lil Durk might be a chart topper out here, but inside, he is just another face. And to some, a potential target. Making things even worse, MDC has its own underground problems. Several correctional officers have already been caught and indicted for smuggling contraband inside. We are talking drugs, phones, even weapons, all for the right price. Inside MDC, it is not just the inmates causing trouble. Some of the corrupt staff are part of the game too. Some officers look the other way, letting underground networks thrive inside the walls. Contraband. Moves. Secrets get passed. Power shifts fast. And for someone like Lil Durk, who already has a huge target on his back from his rap fame and alleged street ties, one wrong move could put him in serious danger. And the facility itself? It is falling apart. Inmates have described it as neglected and grimy. Broken equipment everywhere. Busted toilets. Delays on even the most basic repairs. Some say they have waited months just to get hot water or working lights. Living conditions are rough. And every single day feels like a gamble. Being locked up with his OTF circle might sound like a comfort, but do not get it twisted. In the federal system, loyalty does not always last. When the heat turns all the way up, pressure has a funny way of making people fold. And with stakes, this high, even the tightest bonds can snap. Durk and his guys are not in there playing cards or just passing time. They are literally fighting for their lives. The feds came prepared, and from the looks of it, the case is stacked with evidence. As the trial date creeps closer, the tension inside those walls is rising. Informants. Secret plea deals, hidden microphones. Itayth is all on the table now. Nobody wants to be the last one standing with no deal in hand, and do not forget, federal jails love to play the separation game. When multiple people are tied to the same case, officials will keep them apart on purpose. No private conversations, no chance to match stories, constant watch for witness tampering. So even though Durk's crew is locked up with him, it is unclear how much contact they really have. To make things even worse, Durk has already gotten into trouble with prison officials. According to court records, he was caught making unauthorized three-way calls, which is a direct violation of MDC's rules, and the prosecutors did not waste any time. They jumped on it, using it as proof that Durk cannot even follow simple jail rules. Their argument was clear. If he cannot follow the rules behind bars, how can the court trust that he would follow the law if he was released? That three-way call became another big reason for the judge to keep him locked up. The prosecutors made sure the court saw it as a serious risk. But beyond the rule-breaking and physical danger, there is another battle happening, the mental one, being all. Trapped in a small cell, cut off from the world, knowing his freedom could be taken forever. That kind of pressure can break even the strongest minds. And for Durk, someone who built his whole life on survival and struggle, this is the hardest test he has ever faced. Yes, MDC has mental health services, but for someone like Durk, that will not fix what he is going through. It is barely scratching the surface. Yes, there is crisis counseling and therapy, but one-on-one sessions are rare, and group support is even rarer. Most of the time, inmates are left alone with their thoughts, isolated and under constant watch. It is psychological warfare. Even the strongest minds start to crack under the weight, the loneliness, the endless waiting, and the knowing eyes of guards and other inmates watching every move. It wears a person down. And in a place like MDC, where fights and confrontations happen daily, there is no such thing as peace of mind. Durk's only real break comes from limited recreation. MDC offers things like basketball, table games like ping pong or pool, and even GED programs for inmates trying to do something productive. But do not be fooled. Even stepping on the court means keeping your head on a swivel in there. Anything can happen at any moment. Still, despite everything, Durk is trying to stay strong, or at least sound like he is. A leaked prison phone call seems to tell a different story. On November 15th, Durk tried to paint a picture of strength. A prison call with a friend. He said he was keeping his head up and staying focused on getting back to his family. Just got off the phone with my brother, read the Instagram caption. he in good spirit, staying positive, and fighting to get back home to his kids and family. We not glorifying negativity even behind walls. The message was clear. Durk was still pushing forward, still standing tall. We are more than just street guys. We are men of honor and code. That is the image Durk has always tried to project. But now, people are starting to question how much of that was real and how much of it was just a front, because no matter how strong you are, prison changes you. The stress of a life-changing trial, the fear of someone cracking under pressure, and the weight of knowing one wrong move could cost you everything. It all adds up fast. Durk might sound calm on the phone, putting on a strong face. But behind those cold jail doors, he is facing a war like never before. And if things keep going the way they are, his stay behind bars might not be temporary. Now, let us break down where things stand in his legal storm. What started as one murder-for-hire charge has now exploded into something even worse. Durk and his close OTF affiliates are now facing a full-blown RICO case, and cases like this do not leave much room for escape. If he is convicted, he is not looking at just a few years. He is staring down life in federal prison. There is no parole, no early release, no exit strategy. The feds are not just trying to lock Durk up. They are trying to bury him. In November 2024, the first superseding indictment dropped, and it was stacked with evidence. It lays out a long web of conspiracies, violent acts, and retaliation that the government says stretches back years. This is not about one crime or one moment. The government is painting Lil Durk as the mastermind behind a powerful criminal operation. They claim his Only the Family, OTF imprint was not just a music label, it was a front for a violent street crew. To the feds, OTF is not just a brand. They see it as a well-organized gang, allegedly responsible for shootings, assaults, and chaos in multiple cities. And if there is one thing the federal government has mastered, it is using RICO, the racketeer-influenced and corrupt organizations. Act originally created to take down the mafia, RICO has become the government's favorite weapon against rap crews and street organizations. Now they are pointing the finger straight at Durk. They are calling him the shot caller, accusing him of using his fame, money, and influence to greenlight hits, reward violence, and keep OTF dominant in the streets. And at the center of this RICO case, it all traces back to one tragic moment, the 2020 murder of King Von. But the government says Von's death was more than just another headline. It shook the streets and sent shockwaves through the industry. Prosecutors claim that after Von was killed in Atlanta, Lil Durk did not just mourn. He moved fast. The feds are saying Lil Durk put a bounty on the people he believed were responsible for King Von's death. And that one decision set off a violent chain reaction. At the center of it all, the August 2022 ambush on Quando Rondo's crew in Los Angeles. The feds claim Durk did not just watch from the sidelines. They say he personally ordered the hit. They say he sent his guys across state lines with one mission: find the rival and take him out. And this time, the feds claim they have proof. We are talking surveillance footage, taped phone calls, text messages, even Durk's own rap lyrics, which prosecutors say are not just songs, but confessions. This is not just a case built on assumptions. The government says it has been building this for months using inside informants and cooperating witnesses. And Durk is not alone in this legal storm. His crew, his core OTF circle, is getting pulled down with him. If the feds win this case, they all go down together. Here is what the indictment says. Kion cousin Grant allegedly helped set up the hit, organizing the team and securing weapons. DeAndre D-Day Wilson is accused of being one of the key men who traveled to LA to carry out the attack. Keith Flacca Jones is being named as one of the shooters, allegedly pulling the trigger during the ambush. David Brown Lindsay is suspected of planning the entire operation, Asa Boogie. Houston is accused of driving the getaway car and helping cover up the crime afterward. And that is just the start. The indictment lays out over 25 acts tied to the conspiracy. It details everything, from using OTF-linked money to buy plane tickets, to securing weapons for the mission. The case is not just about one night in LA. It is about a pattern of violence. A criminal empire the feds say Durk was running from the top. The feds say this was not just street violence. It was a carefully planned mission, executed step by step like a military operation. Every move was calculated. And the goal? Not just locking Lil Durk up, wiping him and his crew out completely. We are talking full-blown criminal forfeiture. If convicted, Durk and his co-defendants could lose everything. Homes, luxury cars, designer jewelry, even money made from music linked to the alleged crimes. The feds are not playing games. They are not relying on old-school witnesses. They have high-tech surveillance, phone taps, and digital trails, all leading straight back to Durk and his circle. Word is, the FBI intercepted a series of phone calls between Durk and his crew. The conversations were coded, but prosecutors say the message was clear. They claim these calls prove a murder-for-hire plot, and the most damning piece of evidence? A recorded call where Durk allegedly gave the green light on a target, then later rapped about the outcome in a song. To the government, these lyrics are not just music. They are confessions, and we have seen this playbook before. YNW Melly. Young Thug. Lyrics turned into evidence in RICO cases just like this. But it does not stop at calls and tracks. The feds have more. They pulled surveillance footage. What it shows could decide everything. Payments made right around the time of the attack. That was already a red flag. But now comes the heaviest part. Testimony from a confidential informant. And that has everyone wondering, did someone from OTF flip? All eyes are locked on one name, Jam, a longtime OTF affiliate. A man with serious street credit. Did over a decade in prison for attempted murder. Seen as a loyal soldier. But when he got out in 2022, rumors exploded. Whispers said, Jam might have turned informant, wearing a wire, feeding the feds inside intel. And this was not just street gossip. According to inside sources, Jam allegedly handed over evidence linking Durk to the murder-for-hire plot against Quando Rondo. Even more explosive, Chicago rapper King Yella claimed Jam connected Durk to another killing. That made things even worse. Prosecutors say the hit on Rondo's cousin was a revenge mission for King Von. But then, things got even messier. A video surfaced featuring DJ Academics in Chicago. Reporter Trench's news. It added serious fuel to the fire. In the clip, Trench's news broke down why Jam might have flipped. It started with something personal. Jam's baby mama was struggling. She reached out to Durk, asked for help with legal fees. But Durk never responded. To Jam, that was not just a brush-off. That was disrespect. Redurk posts and supporters are holding on to hope that somehow, someway, he will beat this case. But hope does not hold weight in a federal courtroom, and the feds are playing for keeps. If what prosecutors are saying is true, this is not just about music. This is about power, control, and an empire built on more than just beats and lyrics. They are not just trying to lock up Durk. They are aiming to take down everything connected to him. As the case moves forward, one thing is clear. This is not just another legal battle. It is a fight for freedom, reputation, and a legacy that now hangs in the balance, or in this case, this is not just another trial. It is a battle for his entire future. Fans are still hoping for a miracle, flooding social media with support, but the reality is looking tough. The same Chicago rapper who once moved like he was untouchable is now facing the real chance of spending life behind bars. And the wildest part? The trial has not even started yet. The federal government is not holding back. They have made it clear. They are coming with everything they have, and when the feds want you, they do not stop until they get you. So what happens next? The clock is ticking and the pressure is rising. What was supposed to be a fast trial has now been delayed, giving both sides more time to prepare. For the government, that means more time to stack up evidence. For Durk, it means more days locked away, more uncertainty, and more mental pressure as he waits for the fight of his life. His trial was originally set for January 7, 2025, but now it has been pushed all the way to October 14, 2025, a clear sign of how complicated and serious this case has become. Of their case is built on witness statements, digital evidence, and song lyrics. But in court, those things do not always hold up the way prosecutors expect. Some legal experts believe the case might not be as strong as it seems. They argue that The feds are stretching thin evidence and using Lil Durk's lyrics, lifestyle, and fame to paint a much bigger picture than the truth. While the government claims he is the mastermind of a violent network, his supporters say it is just a way to target high-profile rappers. And here is where the prosecution faces a major problem: rap lyrics. Many legal experts argue that using music as evidence is risky. Just because someone raps about crime does not mean they actually committed one. Plus, there has been growing debate over whether rap lyrics should even be allowed as evidence in court. Some states have already passed laws limiting how they can be used. At the same time, the government is bringing more than just lyrics. They claim to have hard evidence: over 230 GB of digital data, 20,000 pages of documents, and countless hours of surveillance footage. They say it all adds up to a clear picture of Lil Durk not just making music, but running a criminal operation. With all this on the table, the big question remains: does Durk even stand a chance? Or is this delay just dragging out what is already set in stone? The attack, which the feds say proves coordination, but the defense can counter that as well. Just because they linked up does not mean it was about a crime. They could have been meeting for anything, and without clear evidence of them planning or talking about the hit, it is all just speculation. Another key point in the case is the informants. The government is leaning on testimonies from people inside OTF, but the defense can challenge their credibility. Many informants cut deals to save themselves, which means their words are not always reliable. If the defense can prove that the informants are lying or exaggerating to get lighter sentences, that could weaken the case. And then there is the money trail. Prosecutors claim that payments were made around the time of the attack. But again, money moves fast in the music industry. Just because a payment was sent does not automatically mean it was for a hit. The defense will likely argue that the feds are trying to connect dots that do not actually lead to a solid picture. So while the case against Durk looks heavy, there are plenty of ways his legal team can fight back. The trial is set for October 2025, and until then, both sides will keep building their cases. The feds want to take him down for good, but Durk's lawyers are ready for battle. The final outcome? That is still up in the air. The crime, no recorded order from him, and nothing that fully proves he was the mastermind. They argue that without something rock solid, the feds are mostly building a case on theories, informants with questionable credibility, and circumstantial evidence. Still, the government does not need a video of Durk giving orders to convict him. In RICO cases, all they need to do is show that he was part of the operation and played a role, even if it was from a distance. That is why his defense team has to prove he had no real involvement. Just being the leader of OTF does not make him guilty of everything his crew did. As the trial date gets closer, more details will come out, and both sides will try to strengthen their cases. Durk is facing the fight of his life, and whether he walks free or spends years behind bars depends on how well his lawyers can break apart the government's story. Until then, the streets, the industry, and the fans are all watching closely, waiting to see how this high-stakes case plays out. Could be powerful in court. If his lawyers can successfully argue that Durk had no direct involvement and that his message was actually a way of keeping clear of illegal activity, the jury might see reasonable doubt. And in criminal cases, doubt can mean the difference between freedom and a conviction. Still, the government does not play around with RICO cases. They have spent years building this case, and they would not bring it forward unless they believed they had enough to convict. They are aiming to paint Durk as a leader who used his money and fame to fuel street violence, and they are betting that the jury will see him as more than just a rapper caught up in the wrong crowd. The battle ahead is huge, and both sides are preparing for a long, high-profile fight. Until then, the world is watching, the fans are hoping, and Lil Durk is waiting to see if he can beat the biggest case of his life. The worst-case scenario, if the jury finds Durk guilty, he could be facing life behind bars. Federal cases have a high conviction rate, and with the amount of evidence prosecutors claim to have, this is a serious risk. The fourth option? Someone flips. If one of the co-defendants decides to cooperate, it could seal Durk's fate. The i.e., prosecution would get first-hand testimony tying him to the crime, making it much harder to fight the case. And with DeAndre Wilson already making moves, this might be the most dangerous possibility. At the end of the day, this case is more than just a legal battle. It is about Durk's entire legacy. If he beats it, he walks away as one of the few rappers to escape a federal takedown. If he loses, it could mean the end of his career and everything he has built. Right now, the only thing certain is that the clock is ticking, the stakes are rising, and Lil Durk's future has never been more uncertain. His influence is still strong in the industry. His fans, his label, and his family are standing by him, hoping he can beat the case and prove his innocence. But the truth is, the federal government does not play around. They build their cases slowly, stacking up evidence until they are sure they have enough to lock someone away for good. And with a case this big, they are not going to back down easily. If Durk walks free, it will be one of the biggest legal wins in hip-hop history, proving that even the most powerful prosecutors can be challenged. But if he loses, it will be a chilling reminder that no matter how big you get, no matter how much success you achieve, the system can always come knocking. For now, all anyone can do is wait. The trial is coming, the evidence is stacking up, and the world is watching. So long that people started wondering if it would ever drop at all. Some even speculated that the label was trying to distance itself from the case, unsure of how things would play out in court. But despite all the uncertainty, Durk's team has been working hard to keep the momentum going. Snippets of new music have leaked online, and unreleased tracks are still making waves on social media. The biggest question now is, will Deep Thoughts ever see the light of day? Some industry insiders believe the label is waiting to see how the trial unfolds before making a final decision. If Durk beats the case, the album could be bigger than ever, a triumphant comeback story that dominates the charts. But if things go south, it might never drop at all. For now, fans are left in limbo, holding on to hope and waiting to see if their favorite rapper can make it through the storm. Times over the past year with snippets floating around online, but nothing official has been released yet. If Walk Hard does end up on the album, it could be one of the biggest rap songs of the year. But for now, everything about Deep Thoughts remains. A mystery. Durk's team is keeping tight-lipped about the project. No official track list, no release date, and no confirmation on features. Fans are left waiting, watching every move, hoping for a surprise drop. Some believe the album is done and ready to go, but the label is holding it back until the trial clears. Others think Durk might be recording final touches from behind bars. No matter what happens, one thing is clear. This is the most important album of Durk's career, if he walks free. Deep Thoughts could be a powerful comeback story. If he is found guilty, it could be his final message to the world. Either way, the pressure is on, and the streets are watching. Durk had fans talking. Some called it proof of real love. Others saw it as a powerful statement that Durk was not fighting this battle alone. India has not said much publicly, but her actions speak louder than words. She has kept posting messages of faith and support, hinting that she believes Durk will come out on top in the courtroom, and in life their relationship has always been in the spotlight, but now it is being tested in the hardest way possible. Meanwhile, Durk's friends and team are doing everything they can to keep his name alive in the industry. They are making sure his music stays streaming, his brand keeps growing, and his presence is felt, even though he is behind bars. At the end of the day, Durk's future remains uncertain. His trial is still months away. His album is in limbo, and the weight of the charges against him is heavy. But if there is one thing everyone agrees on, it is that Durk has always been a fighter. Whether he beats the case or not, his influence on hip-hop will not be forgotten. Updates spread like wildfire on social media. Some fans praised her, calling it real love, and saying her presence was proof of deep loyalty. That is what holding someone down looks like. One person commented, but not everyone saw it that way. Some critics argued that we should not romanticize what should be expected in a relationship. Why are we acting like this is something special? One user posted on X, formerly Twitter, "Every real one sticks around for the full stretch. Let us see if she stays through the entire trial." Another user wrote, "And to be fair, their relationship has had its own ups and downs. Since linking up in 2017, Durk and India have faced public breakups, including a brief split in 2022. But they have always found their way back now, with Durk facing the fight of his life." India's presence in court suggests she is still in his corner. Whether it is true love or just loyalty in the spotlight, one thing is clear: she is showing up. So what do you think? Will Durk beat the case? Will Deep Thoughts finally drop and his Walk Hard with Drake? Still on the way, drop your thoughts in the comments, and do not forget to like, subscribe, and tap that bell so you never miss the real tea. Catch you in the next one. My stars and hushers, stay locked in and stay tuned.